This is Valley News Live at 5.
We begin with breaking news as police this afternoon search for a reason why someone would shoot two people. Both of the victims dying from their wounds, and now police need your help identifying the victims. The shooting happened this afternoon at a North Fargo business, 401 27th Street North. That's where Composite America is located, and that's where Valley News Live's Alex Larson is as well. Alex?
Thank you, Mike. Police are still here. But lots have left. The suspect turned himself in and the weapon was found, but this is still under investigation. Police believe the suspect is responsible for what happened here, and there are no other suspects or victims. Chief Zabalski said earlier today they could be here for several hours. I've seen some people coming out of police cars and walking with officers into the crime scene. We're told police don't know why this happened, and they are still working to identify the two victims. We'll keep you updated as we find out more. Reporting live in Fargo, Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
Thanks, Alex. As mentioned, the shootings took place at Composite America, which is listed as a synthetics manufacturing plant. It's also a thermoforming company that specializes in various forms of manufacturing. And if we have any information on we do have more information on a fatal crash in Stutsman County. We now know the name of a 63-year-old man who was killed in that crash near Jamestown yesterday. Authorities have identified him as Richard Lefevre. According to the Highway Patrol, the 63-year-old from Jamestown was killed when he attempted to cross Highway 52 in his car just north of Highway 52. He was hit by a car driven by 35-year-old Aubrey Walk of Buchanan, who had two children in the vehicle. They sustained injuries that were not expected to be life-threatening. The high winds today have been howling, and it appears to have played a role in a power outage in Moorhead this afternoon. It was reported in the area of 600 4th Avenue South. We're hearing that tree branches may have hit or knocked down a power line. Let's find out from our chief meteorologist whether those winds are going to be backing off even a little bit. Hutch?
Mike, thanks so much. Yes, I do expect the gusty nature of the winds to subside a little bit, but it's going to be overall windy overnight, and we'll still have to contend with areas of flakes, which reduce visibility at times. And in northwest Minnesota, we do have some roads that are suffering from some, lower than optimal conditions, to say the least. Highway 1 in that Goodrich area, Thief River Falls, Highway 59 north of town, you can see some iciness on the area roads. From time to time, visibility is also being reduced there. Gusts are still over 40 miles per hour in the James River Valley, in the Devil's Lake Basin as well. The trees of Minnesota confining those winds to around 35-mile-per-hour gusts, but we do have reduced visibilities. Roseau County under 2 miles, even in the Lakes country here for Detroit Lakes and Thief River Falls, under 5 miles. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. We do have a good batch of snow that's not moving too fast. It's been pretty stationary in this same area in northwest Minnesota, and also some just upwind from you in Detroit Lakes. So wind all night long. Showers of snow hit and miss here and there as we go through the overnight hours, even into your morning hours. Mike, I'll have details on when this finally exits our area and what we have to look forward to as we head toward that Thanksgiving Day travel time, which is right upon us.
Right around the corner.
Indeed.
All right, thanks so much. Still no verdict in the murder trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. This was the second day of deliberations for the jury. Rittenhouse shot 3 men on the streets of Kenosha, Wisconsin, killing 2 and wounding 1. Prosecutors say he was a wannabe soldier who provoked a confrontation, the defense saying he feared for his life and acted in self-defense. The shootings happened during a night of protests against racial injustice in the summer of 2020. Today, the judge in the case agreed to reopen evidence in that prosecution. Meanwhile, the defense began its case today in the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial. 3 white men charged with chasing down and killing a man in Georgia last February. The defense could call as many as 30 witnesses as it makes its case that the 3 men were trying to make a citizen's arrest amid a string of break-ins that had the community on edge. Defense attorneys say the 3 men suspected Arbery of burglary, but his family says he was only jogging in that area prior to the shooting. An attorney for one of them decided to make his opening statement today, opting to wait until the prosecution rested its case.
Evidence is clear from the context of all Mr. Bryant's statements that he never attempted to assault Mr. Arbery with his motor vehicle.
The defense is expected to call 30 witnesses while testimony stretching into early Thanksgiving week. The officer who fired his gun at a man in early July has been cleared of any wrongdoing. The shooting happened July 4th. Moorhead police responding to the 25th Street and 4th Avenue North for suspicious activity, which led to a foot chase and Officer Andrew Work firing his gun. Isaiah Hopkins was later arrested, is now in prison in St. Cloud on unrelated charges. Outside investigators reviewed this case and determined discharging the firearm was reasonable and justified, adding that Hopkins has a history of being combative, anti-police, and unpredictable during interactions with police. He was also known to possess a firearm in previous incidents. Concerns tonight surrounding white-tailed deer, a story that surfaces just as hunters are on the prowl. Recent studies show white-tailed deer can catch COVID-19. Valley News Team JC Dodd has details.
Reports from the USDA show some white-tailed deer have tested positive for COVID-19 in New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Illinois. And a study which hasn't yet been peer-reviewed found sick deer a little closer to home in Iowa.
In North Dakota, at this point, we don't know if our deer are infected with virus. We don't know, if it's occurring at all in the state and to what extent it would be.
So we really haven't had much chance to digest, what that research means for deer and hunters in Minnesota.
University of Minnesota researchers have begun testing local harvested deer for COVID-19.
So we are allowing them to access those and be interested to see what comes out of that research.
North Dakota Game and Fish has no plans to test deer this hunting season, but it's not off the table for next year. It's unknown how deer came in contact with the virus, but Dr. Bonson says there are theories floating around.
We know that virus can be detected in wastewater, so maybe somehow deer come into contact with that.
As the experts begin to wrap their heads around what this means for hunters and deer alike,
I hope that hunters can kind of take this one in stride and continue to get out there and enjoy what's so important to everyone.
JC Dodd, Valley News Live.
The USDA says there's no evidence that animals can spread COVID-19 to humans or that you can get the virus from eating the meat of an infected deer. COVID cases are on the rise as the FDA moves toward expanding eligibility for vaccine boosters. Minnesota is one of the hot spots. Governor Tim Walz says federal emergency response teams are on the way to help overrun hospitals. Now the focus on boosters is intensifying, with the FDA expected to authorize Pfizer's extra shot for all adults as soon as tomorrow. Then CDC advisors are set to meet Friday to discuss the matter. Meanwhile, Moderna is also asking the FDA for emergency use authorization to approve its COVID-19 booster vaccine for all adults. Last month, the agency authorized a Moderna booster dose for people aged 65 and older and certain other at-risk adults. CDC advisors discuss recommending booster doses of Pfizer's COVID vaccine on Friday. They'll also consider Moderna's vaccine as well. The first bone marrow transplant program in the region has been done at Sanford's Roger Maris Cancer Center. The successful transplant involved a patient with multiple melanoma. This procedure temporarily removed the patient's stem cells while they underwent chemotherapy. The infusion of their own stem cells helped the patient recover from the chemo. Doctors say this program has been in the works for 2 years, and this is a major milestone. Patients no longer have to travel hours to get the treatment or spend months recovering in a different state.
It brings the service closer to home. Sanford is investing in other ways to help patients with residing in Fargo during their transplant process.
Doctors say the next procedure is scheduled for after Thanksgiving, and once the program is up and running, they hope to do treatments as often as every other week. Good news tonight for Minnesota U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar, who says everything was clear at her 6-month post-cancer exam. In a tweet, she also said to schedule that mammogram today. It was September that she revealed that she was diagnosed with stage 1A breast cancer back in February. Shortly after, she had surgery to remove some of the cancer, being put on radiation treatment. In August, doctors determined that the treatment went well. School lunch options are about to be trimmed in West Fargo, and the nationwide supply chain problem is to blame. The district is saying that starting November 29th, elementary school menus will have one-day entree option for lunch, and middle school and high schools will have one daily hot entree option with limited grab-and-go entrees. Menus will be adjusted to include products which are expected to be available to purchase. School officials say the changes are expected to be temporary, but it's unclear how long the supply chain problems, of course, will be around. Meanwhile, the United States military is giving service members a helping hand this holiday season. With inflation increasing the prices of essential goods, the Department of Defense is introducing measures to help cash-strapped families. They're temporarily increasing the housing allowance in high-price areas and expanding the lodging reimbursement where there are housing shortages. It's unclear how long these measures will be in place. Later on Valley News Live, a vaccine trial underway, but the focus is on Alzheimer's. We'll explain how it works.
But next, gusty winds exceeding 55 miles per hour for some in that James River Valley, and those trees in Minnesota holding back those gusts just a little bit. Still some flakes flying, reduced visibility, and weather challenges through the overnight and into tomorrow. Your hour-by-hour forecast is coming up. Join me right after the break.